Imagine finding a single penny-an-old worn coin sitting quietly at the bottom of a change jar, forgotten by time. You pick it up, expecting it to be worth exactly 1 cent. But what if I told you that penny could be worth nearly $1 million? That one small copper coin could hold the key to the kind of wealth that changes everything. This isn't fantasy. This is the incredible story of the 1970 Lincoln 1-cent coin, an unassuming treasure that has stunned collectors, investors, and historians alike. Now, before you laugh and say, "Come on, a penny worth $1 million? That's crazy," let me stop you right there. Because people said the same thing about a few other coins before they sold for 6 and even 7 figures at auction. Today, you're about to discover how one small mint mark, one rare error, and one stroke of luck can turn a single cent into a fortune. Let's go back in time. It's 1970. America is in flux. The Beatles are breaking up. Gas costs 36 cents a gallon. And in Denver, at the U.S. Mint, millions of Lincoln cents are rolling off the presses. Most of them will go on to live ordinary lives spent on coffee, gum, or simply lost under couch cushions. But hidden among those millions was something different. A few coins, unnoticed by mint workers, carried a mysterious imperfection-y doubling of the date. A faint yet undeniable misprint that would one day send shockwaves through the numismatic world. At first, nobody noticed. These 1970 pennies slipped quietly into circulation. They jingled in pockets, changed hands in grocery stores, and were tossed into jars. But then, years later, sharp-eyed collectors began spotting something unusual. On some of these coins, the year 1970 seemed... The numbers were thicker, shadowed, like they were printed twice. This was no illusion, it was what experts call a double-die obverse. Now, here's where it gets exciting. The 1970 double-die penny isn't just a curiosity. It's a rarity so profound that serious collectors will pay staggering amounts for it. In recent years, verified examples in pristine condition have fetched values soaring into the hundreds of thousands, and the current record, a jaw-dropping $976,000. That's right, nearly $1 million. For a single cent, let that sink in. A coin you could have used to buy a piece of candy might now buy you a house. Or 2, maybe even your dream lifestyle. But what makes this coin so valuable? Why this penny? Of all things. It comes down to 3 things: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Out of all the coins minted that year, over 2.8 billion in total, only a tiny handful show this doubling effect. Some experts believe fewer than 50 examples exist in collectible condition. Second, condition. The coin grading scale runs from poor to perfect mint state. A 1970 penny in uncirculated condition, preserved from the day it was minted, could multiply in value exponentially. And third, demand. Coin collectors are passionate, competitive, and well-funded. When a coin this rare hits the market, it's not just a purchase, it's a battle. Think of it like this: there are Ferraris, There are Lamborghinis, and then there's that one prototype that only 2 people in the world own. That's the 1970D double die penny. But here's the question burning in everyone's mind. How do you know if you have one? Well, here's where the story gets personal. Imagine this, sifting through an old jar of coins. Maybe it's your dad's collection, or maybe it's something you've had tucked away for decades. You pull out a 1970 penny. Flip it under the light. Look closely at the date. Do the numbers 1970 look doubled? Does the D mint mark seem slightly misaligned? That subtle imperfection could be the difference between 1 cent and a life-changing windfall, and before you assume all hope is lost. Here's something that surprises most people. These coins are still being discovered today. Every year, a few more pop up in estates, yard sales, and even pocket change. Just last year, a retired man in Kansas found one in his late father's coin box and sold it for over $400,000. Now let me ask, how many old jars, drawers, and boxes do you have lying around, untouched for years? See? Here's the irony. We spend our lives chasing wealth, working longer hours, taking on side hustles, trying to climb the ladder. Yet sometimes fortune hides in plain sight. A penny in your kitchen could be worth more than a lifetime of paychecks. And that's what makes this story more than just about coins. It's about awareness. About the idea that the extraordinary often hides inside the ordinary. The question is, will you take the time to look? Of course, there's another side to this tale, a word of caution. Where there's value, there's also deception. Counterfeiters have tried for decades to mimic the double die effect, and fake coins flood online marketplaces. That's why, if you suspect you found a 1970D double die penny, never rush to sell it. Get it authenticated. Trusted grading services like PCGs or NGC can verify its legitimacy and assign it an official grade. Without that certification, even a rare coin's value drops dramatically. And here's a little humorous truth. The moment you start telling friends you might have $1 million penny, everyone suddenly becomes a coin expert. You'll hear, "Oh, my uncle had one of those," or "Nah, that's just a regular penny." Don't let opinions stop you. Let professionals confirm it, because here's the real kicker. The market for rare U.S. coins is booming like never before. In a world where inflation eats away at cash, collectors and investors are turning to tangible assets, gold, silver, and yes, even copper. Just a few decades ago, the idea of paying thousands for a penny seemed ridiculous. Today, it's strategy. And tomorrow? Those prices could rise even higher. Let me put it another way. The people who understand history, who respect rarity, are the ones who profit from it. And right now, those who take the time to look through their coins could be sitting on hidden wealth. Imagine, for a second, what you'd do with $976,000. Would you pay off your home? Travel the world. Start the business you've always dreamed about. Because stories like this aren't about luck. They're about awareness and timing matters. Every year, collectors get more aggressive. Auction houses are seeing record-breaking sales. Coins that once fetched $20,000 now sell for 10 times that. The 1970 double-die penny is riding that wave of momentum. If you ever wanted a reason to check your coins, this is it. Now, you might be thinking, what if I missed my chance? What if someone else already found the good ones? Here's where I'll stop you. History tells us that treasures resurface in waves. The last major discovery of these pennies happened decades after they were minted. Every new find reignites the market and raises values even more. So no, you haven't missed your chance. You're right on time. And here's another truth. Wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. It sits in a dusty box, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. That's why stories like this matter. They remind us to pay attention. There's a powerful lesson buried in this copper coin. It's not just about money. It's about perception. The same penny that 99% of people ignore can make one person rich beyond imagination simply because they looked closer. That's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. And before you go racing off to your coin jar, here's one final detail collectors obsess over: the mint mark. That tiny D on the 1970 penny stands for the Denver Mint. And it's what sets this version apart from the San Francisco and Philadelphia issues. But don't confuse the 1970 D double die with the 1970S version, which is also rare but distinct. Both are valuable, but the Denver variant is the true jackpot. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Have you ever really looked at your pennies? Because right now, one could be sitting just feet away from you, waiting. In a world where everyone is chasing digital currencies and complex investments, sometimes the greatest fortunes come from the simplest places. One coin, one glance, one discovery. Picture this: you're holding that penny in your hand. You send it off for grading. A few weeks later, the envelope arrives. You open it. Your heart races. There, it is, the official certification. 1970D Lincoln Cent, doubled die obverse. Value: $976,000. You sit back, realizing that everything just changed. That feeling, the thrill of discovery, the shock of transformation, that's what keeps collectors searching. That's what makes stories like this so powerful. So, if you have a box of old coins, if you've ever thought, maybe one day I'll go through them, make today that day. Don't wait for someone else to find your fortune. Because the truth is, million-dollar pennies don't just belong in museums or auction houses. They're out there in basements, attics, and jars, waiting for someone like you to uncover them. And when you do, remember this story. Remember that it wasn't luck. It was awareness. It was curiosity. It was the decision to look where others wouldn't. The 1970 Lincoln penny teaches us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes the things we overlook are the very things that can change our lives. So go ahead, dig through that change jar. Check that old wallet. You never know. Your fortune might just be hiding in plain sight. because the next $1,000,000 penny? It could be yours. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious and thrilling story behind this rare and valuable coin. A coin so ordinary in appearance that millions of people have probably spent one. Without knowing, they might have been holding a fortune. By the end of this video, you'll know how to tell if you have one of these priceless treasures hiding in plain sight, and why collectors are willing to pay up to $969,000 for a single piece of copper. Before you toss that penny aside, listen closely because this might be the story that turns your pocket change into generational wealth. It all begins in 1971. The United States was in transition. Nixon was in the White House. Gas cost about 36 cents a gallon, and a loaf of bread was 25 cents. Inflation was rising, the Vietnam War was raging, and the U.S. Mint was producing millions of pennies to keep up with the growing demand for coins in everyday transactions. Most of these pennies were made in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But here's where things get interesting. Some coins, struck in Philadelphia, were produced without a mint mark, that tiny letter you see below the date. Normally, not unusual. Philadelphia coins traditionally didn't carry a mint mark. But in 1971, something special happened. A small number of these pennies were struck with extraordinary precision. Using a special die intended for proof coins, coins that were meant for collectors, not for circulation. These proof dies had a sharper strike, deeper details, and a mirror-like finish. Somehow, a few of them were accidentally mixed into the regular production line. The result? The 1971 no mint mark. Lincoln cent with an ultra-rare appearance. A coin that shouldn't exist in circulation at all. Imagine being one of the few, lucky people who unknowingly received one in your change. Maybe you used it to buy a candy bar in 1972. Maybe it sat in a jar in your kitchen for decades. Maybe it's still there right now. Here's the twist. Only a handful of these era-struck coins have ever been authenticated. The scarcity of these coins has made them some of the most sought-after pieces in U.S. coin history. In recent auctions, collectors have been willing to spend staggering amounts to secure one. The highest recorded sale, a jaw-dropping $969,000 for a single 1971 no mint mark penny. Nearly $1 million for 1 cent. Now, take a moment and really think about that. You could be sitting on a coin that has more earning power than a luxury car or even a small home, all hidden within something most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the sidewalk. It's a powerful reminder that wealth isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes it's small, round, and made of copper. But how do you know if your penny is the rare one? Let's go deeper. First, look closely at the date. It must read 1971 with no mint mark under it. Then, examine the details under a magnifying glass or even your phone's macro camera. The real treasure coins have a distinct clarity, Lincoln's hairlines. The Liberty letters and the motto "In God We Trust" should be sharply struck, almost as if etched by a laser. The surface will appear glossier, with a subtle, reflective shine. If you find one that looks suspiciously perfect, don't rush to the pawn shop just yet. Many coins look similar, but are worth just a penny. The secret lies in having it authenticated by professionals like PCGs or NGC, the leading coin grading authorities. They can verify its authenticity and grade its condition. A top-grade coin, mint state, 67 or above, could easily fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. But here's where the excitement turns to urgency. These coins are so rare and the market for them is so hot that once one hits the open market, collectors pounce almost immediately. Prices can skyrocket overnight, and those who hesitate often miss out. Imagine knowing your old jar of pennies could contain a life-changing fortune, but you never checked. That's the kind of regret you don't want to live with. And if you think this is just a one-off story, think again. History has shown us time and again that rare pennies have changed people's lives. The 1943 copper penny sold for $1.7 million. The 1955 double-die penny sold for over $100,000. And now, the 1971 no-mint mark penny has joined that elite club of everyday miracles. Still, you might be wondering, why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? The answer lies in the psychology of rarity and prestige. Collectors don't just buy coins, they buy stories, history, and the emotional thrill of owning something almost no one else has. It's the same reason art sells for millions. These coins are like miniature time machines, tangible pieces of American heritage. And for many, it's not just about collecting. It's about investing. The coin market has quietly outperformed traditional investments in certain years. And with inflation eroding the dollar's value, tangible assets like rare coins have become more attractive than ever. That's why some of the wealthiest families in America quietly build coin portfolios, because they understand that history, rarity, and passion can translate into long-term wealth. Now, let's pause for a moment. Ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your spare change? Or that old jar of coins passed down from your parents or grandparents? We all have that one container gathering dust somewhere in the house. Maybe it's time to open it again, because if you're one of the lucky few holding a 1971 number mint mark penny, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding opportunity. But here's the part that surprises most people. Many valuable coins are lost simply because their owners never thought to look. They get spent, melted, or forgotten. Every year, thousands of rare coins disappear forever. And that makes the ones that survive even more valuable. So if you find one, what should you do? First, protect it. Don't clean it, don't polish it, and definitely don't rub it with your thumb. That tiny scratch could cost you thousands of dollars in lost value. Place it in a coin holder or a soft cloth pouch. Then, reach out to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a grading service. Once authenticated, you'll receive a certification number and grade that can open doors to serious buyers and high-end auctions. The next step is strategy. You can hold it as a long-term investment, Rare coins tend to appreciate over time, or you can sell while the market is hot. With recent sales approaching $1 million, some experts believe the next one could easily cross the seven-figure mark. Here's a funny thought. Imagine telling your friends you just sold a penny for more than their mortgage. It sounds ridiculous, but it's the kind of ridiculous we all want to experience, and that's what makes this story so captivating. It's not just about coins, it's about possibility. It's about the magic of finding hidden wealth where others see nothing. It's about rewriting your financial story with something as small as a penny. Think about the lesson behind it. How many other opportunities might be hiding in plain sight, unnoticed because we assume they're not worth looking at? That old box in the attic, that dusty album, that jar of coins, they might hold more than nostalgia. They might hold freedom, and freedom, that's the real treasure. Before you rush off to start digging through your pennies, here's something to remember. The people who find these coins aren't just lucky, they're curious. They pay attention. They take the time to look closer, and in life, that's often what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, the willingness to look a little deeper. So, here's your challenge. Today, go find your old coins. Check your drawers, your jars, your collections. Learn what makes each coin unique. Because even if you don't find $1 million penny, you'll discover something far more valuable: awareness. And that awareness could lead you to opportunities you never imagined. One small coin. One big lesson. Sometimes the smallest things can change everything, because wealth doesn't always come from hard work alone. Sometimes it comes from knowing where to look, and who knows? The next life-changing discovery might just be sitting in your pocket right now. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of something so small it fits in the palm of your hand, because in the world of rare coins, even a penny can make you a millionaire. If you enjoyed this story and you're ready to uncover more secrets hidden in your own collection, stay tuned. Your next penny could be your ticket to a wealthy, abundant future. The only question left is, will you take the time to look? So, before you think about cashing in your coin jar at the grocery store, you might want to watch this video all the way through, because by the end, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to spot a life-changing penny, and why the 1979 D. Lincoln cent has become one of the most desirable modern coins in U.S. history. But first, let's take a step back, because the story of this penny isn't just about metal and mint marks. It's about chance, timing, and opportunity. And if you play it right, it could be your story too. The year is 1979. The U.S. Mint is operating in full swing. Inflation is rising. The economy is shifting. And copper, the primary metal in pennies, is becoming more expensive to produce. The Denver Mint, known for its signature D mark, is churning out hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. Nothing unusual, right? Except in a sea of ordinary coins. A few extraordinary ones were struck, coins that would later become legends. Some 1979 D. Lincoln pennies came out of the mint with subtle, almost invisible differences. A double die here, an off-center strike there. Tiny imperfections invisible to the naked eye, but visible under magnification and worth an absolute fortune. But why? Why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for something so small? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and the human obsession with perfection, or in this case, imperfection. Coin collectors, or numismatists, are constantly searching for anomalies, mistakes made by machines that escaped detection. These errors, when rare enough, become priceless. It's a bit like finding a Picasso painting with a hidden signature, or an original baseball card with a printing error that makes it one of a kind, and the 1979 D penny. It's one of those masterpieces. Now, here's the fascinating part, and where most people miss out. The 1979 D penny doesn't look rare. To the untrained eye, it's just another dull brown cent. You might even spend it without thinking twice. But experts know exactly what to look for. The small details that make the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, the most valuable. Examples of the 1979 D Lincoln cent show doubling on the obverse. That's the front side of the coin, where Lincoln's portrait is. If you look closely, you might see slight overlapping lines in the word Liberty, the date 1979, or even Lincoln's eye. This doubling occurs when the coin die strikes the design twice, slightly misaligned. And here's where it gets thrilling. Collectors will pay astronomical amounts for these error coins, especially if they're in pristine, uncirculated condition. But before you rush to grab your magnifying glass, let's add a little humor to the mix. Imagine calling your spouse into the kitchen. "Honey, I just found our retirement plan in the junk drawer." Sounds crazy until it isn't, because that's exactly how several lucky Americans have discovered their fortune. Some found these coins in old coffee tins, others in inherited coin collections, and some, believe it or not, in pocket change. So how does a coin that cost 1 cent to make end up worth $965,000 on the collector's market? Let's connect the dots. First, rarity. Only a handful of 1979 D pennies with major mint errors exist in high-grade condition. Out of hundreds of millions minted, only a few were struck with those rare doubling or off-center errors, and even fewer survive circulation unscathed. Second, demand. Lincoln cents are the most collected coin series in America. Generations of collectors have obsessed over these coins, especially those from the 1970s and 80s, when changes in minting techniques created a variety of unique anomalies. And third, condition. The difference between a penny worth $1 and a penny worth $1 million often comes down to one thing: preservation. Coins graded by professional services like PCGs or NGC with top grades, mint state 67 or higher, can fetch life-changing amounts at auction. But here's where things get even more interesting. The value of rare pennies isn't static. The coin market fluctuates, influenced by collector trends, economic conditions, and new discoveries. A coin that sold for $50,000 a decade ago might be worth 10 times that today. That's why serious collectors call coins pocket-sized investments. Now, I can almost hear you thinking, what if I have one? What if that jar of coins in my attic is worth more than I ever imagined? That's the right question to ask. Because the truth is, many people do, and they simply don't know it. Let's create a picture. Somewhere, maybe in your home, there's a small box. It's been sitting there for years. Maybe it belonged to your parents or grandparents. Inside, a pile of pennies. You've never looked twice. But what if, buried among them, lies a coin that could change your financial future? That's not a fairy tale. It's happening right now, across the country. More people are realizing that old coins can be keys to generational wealth. But you have to know how to start by checking for the mint. Mark under the date that small d stands for the Denver Mint. Then, under bright light or with a magnifying glass, examine the word Liberty and the numbers in the date. If you notice any doubling, even the slightest, set that coin aside. Next, inspect the overall condition. If your penny is shiny with little to no scratches, it might qualify as uncirculated, the kind collectors crave. And finally, if you think you have something special, get it authenticated. Don't just list it on eBay and hope for the best. Professional grading gives your coin legitimacy and can multiply its value overnight. Here's a pattern interrupt for you. Have you ever spent a penny that you now wish you hadn't? Maybe you tossed one into a wishing fountain. Well, joke's on us, because someone might have just wished on $1 million coin. Now let's dive into why the 1979 D penny, specifically, has captured the imagination of collectors in 2025. Recently, at a high-profile coin auction, one of these rare Lincoln cents sold for $965,000, setting a new record for a modern U.S. penny. Experts say its exceptional strike quality, error pattern, and perfect state of preservation made it a one-Anuvian find. That sale reignited interest in all 1970s Lincoln cents, pushing even lower-grade examples into the thousands. Collectors and investors alike are now hunting for these coins, not just for their beauty, but for their profit potential. Think of it this way. Most investments require large upfront costs and uncertain returns. But with coin collecting, the investment might already be in your hands. You just have to recognize it. This is where fear meets opportunity. Fear of missing out on something that could transform your financial life. Because for every person who discovers a valuable coin, there are countless others who unknowingly let theirs slip away, and that's why timing matters. The coin market moves quickly. A rare coin discovered today could double in value tomorrow if the right buyer enters the market. That's why it's crucial if you have old coins, inherited collections, or even jars of loose change to start checking them now. But let's not forget, this isn't just about money. It's about curiosity, history, and legacy. Each coin tells a story of the year it was minted, the people who used it, the hands it passed through. The 1979 D penny carries the story of America's changing economy, the resilience of the working class, and the craftsmanship of minting in an age before digital perfection. And when a collector buys such a coin, they're not just buying metal, they're buying a piece of time, a fragment of history that can never be reproduced. Now imagine the possibilities. Imagine being the person who finds one of these hidden gems. How would your life change? What would you do with nearly $1 million? Would you invest it? Travel the world? Help your family? Build something lasting? This is where the excitement turns into urgency. Because every day that passes, more coins are lost, spent, melted, or destroyed. The number of surviving 1979 era pennies is shrinking, and scarcity drives value, so the sooner you act, the greater your chances of finding one before it's gone forever. Before we close, here's a quick recap to keep your eyes sharp. You're looking for a 1979 penny with a small D mint mark below the date. Signs of doubling on the front, especially around Liberty and the date. A coin in excellent, uncirculated condition, and confirmation from a grading service that your coin is authentic and rare. If you find one that meets those criteria, you might be holding a ticket to financial freedom, a penny that could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even close to $1 million. So go check your jars, your drawers, your piggy banks. Go through that inherited collection you've been meaning to look at. Because stories like these don't just belong to history books. They belong to real people, just like you. And who knows? The next headline-breaking sale could be your coin. The next collector's dream could be your discovery. It all starts with curiosity, a little knowledge, and the courage to look closer. Because sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value. So take this as your sign, your reminder that wealth, isn't always about big moves or risky investments. Sometimes it's about paying attention to the overlooked, the ordinary, the everyday dot. That old penny in your pocket might not just be change. It might be your chance. Keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing, because your next lucky find could be the story the world talks about next. And when it happens, remember this moment, the one when you decided to look closer, to take action, and to turn a single cent into a life of abundance. Everyday Americans are rediscovering the quiet fortune that could be lying inside their loose change. And yet, most people are walking right past its pending away what could be their ticket to financial freedom. But here's the twist. This coin doesn't even look special at first glance. It's not gold. It's not silver. It's just a penny. And that's what makes it so fascinating. Let's rewind for a moment. The year was 1994. Bill Clinton was in the White House. Gas was barely over $1, and nobody was thinking twice about a penny. Millions of Lincoln cents rolled off the presses at the U.S. Mint Denver, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. But something strange happened that year. Somewhere, somehow, a small batch of cents left the mint missing one critical mark, the tiny mint mark letter that identifies where the coin was made. That tiny missing letter would transform a 1 cent, going into a treasure worth more than most people's homes. Now, before we dive into why this happened and how to spot it, Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? I mean, really looked. Most of us treat them like pocket clutter, not potential investments. But the truth is, coin collectors and numismatists, the people who study coins, know that the smallest imperfections, the tiniest minting errors, can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. So how did this happen in 1994? Normally, the Philadelphia Mint coins are made without a mint mark, while Denver coins carry a D and San Francisco coins an S. However, in this case, an extremely rare misprint occurred during the minting process, producing a 1994 Lincoln, sent with no mint mark but struck in a unique die alignment and metal composition error. It's so subtle that only trained eyes or incredibly lucky hands can spot it. When the first of these error coins surfaced, experts were skeptical. But after authentication and grading by top authorities like PCGs and NGC, the truth was undeniable. The coin's features matched no other known 1994. A cane cent. Collectors realized they were looking at a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly. The bidding wars began, and the value skyrocketed. Now, here's the exciting part, man. The part that should light a spark of curiosity in you. There's more than one out there. At least a few examples are believed to exist, tucked away in old jars, dresser drawers, and forgotten coin collections. And every day, someone new is finding out they've been holding on to a life-changing penny for years without even knowing it. Think about that for a second. While most people complain about the economy, rising costs, and financial stress, a handful of everyday individuals are cashing in on the kind of coin finds that change lives. A penny that could erase debt, pay off a mortgage, fund a dream lifestyle. The American dream, rediscovered in copper and zinc. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. You might be wondering, why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, condition, and history. The 1994 no mint mark penny sits at the perfect intersection of mystery and scarcity. Collectors chase what they can't easily find. And because so few of these exist, the demand continues to soar. In fact, according to recent auction trends, the market for rare Lincoln cents has risen by over 200% in the last decade. That means if you find one today, its value could climb even higher tomorrow. Still, most people will never notice the difference between a regular 1994 penny and $1 million one. That's why understanding what to look for is so important. The rare coin has unique die characteristics, slightly double date, sharper strike details, and a specific color tone due to the unique alloy mix used in that cospicular minting run. If you're listening to this right now, you might be thinking, well, I don't have a coin collection. But guess what? That doesn't matter. These coins have shown up in grocery store change, at garage sales, and even in rolls of pennies bought from the bank. You don't need to be a collector. You just need to know what you're looking for. Imagine checking your change one evening, spotting something unusual, and realizing you're holding almost $1 million in your hand. Imagine that rush of adrenaline, the disbelief, The sudden flood of possibilities, the vacations, the house upgrades, the freedom from debt. It's not just money, it's validation that sometimes fortune really does favor the curious. But here's the fear factor, the part that keeps collectors up at night. What if someone spends one of these rare coins by mistake? It happens more often than you'd think. Some of the most valuable coins ever found were discovered after being spent, passed around, even used in vending machines. Every rare penny in circulation faces the same fate if it's not recognized. The difference between a penny and a fortune is awareness, and that's why you're here. Because awareness creates opportunity. You're not just learning about coins. You're learning how to see value where others see nothing. That's the mindset that builds wealth, not just in collecting, but in life. Now, let's shift gears for a second. Humor me with this. How many pennies do you think you've ignored in your life? 1,000? 10,000? Maybe it's time to start looking again. There's something oddly poetic about the idea that the smallest coin in American currency could carry the greatest potential. But don't go running to sell just any penny yet. Condition is everything. A 1994 no-mint mark penny in average circulated condition might bring a few $100s. But one in mint-state condition, no scratches, perfect shine, professionally graded, can command life-changing money. That's why collectors send their finds to grading services like PCGs or NGC. A coin's grade can multiply its value by 10 or even 100 times. And here's another cliffhanger. Experts believe there may be an even rarer variant of this coin still undiscovered, possibly struck with a transitional metal blend from leftover planchettes used in earlier years. If that coin surfaces, its value could break records. The next $1 million penny might not even be the one we already know about. It might still be waiting for its first discovery. That's the beauty and the mystery of coin collecting. It's part science, part art, and part treasure hunt. Every coin tells a story of mistakes, craftsmanship, and hidden history. And the 1994 no-mint mark, Lincoln Penny, is the perfect example of how one small error in a massive system can create unimaginable value. So, what does this mean for you? It means opportunity. It means empowerment. It means that your financial breakthrough might not come from Wall Street, but from the palm of your hand. While others chase quick riches, you're learning how to spot real, tangible value. Let's bring this closer to home. Picture yourself discovering one of these coins. You verify it, send it for grading, and a few weeks later, you receive the results. Authentic, genuine, rare. Then comes the auction. The bids start small, 10,000, 20,000, but then the numbers climb. 100,000, 200, 500,000. And finally, the hammer falls, $956,000. Just like that. Your life changes forever. It sounds like a fantasy, but stories like this are unfolding every year. People who once brushed off coin collecting as an old-fashioned hobby are now turning it into serious wealth. The market is booming, and as inflation rises, tangible assets like rare coins are becoming even more desirable. Collectors are not just buying history, they're buying stability, legacy, and status. And that brings us to the final takeaway. Don't underestimate what you already have. Your financial potential might be hiding in plain sight. Go through your coins, check your change, search those old jars. Pay attention to the details. Because when opportunity looks ordinary, most people miss it. But those who pay attention, the ones who take the time to look closer, are the ones who win. The 1994 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that greatness often hides in simplicity. That fortune can favor patience, curiosity, and knowledge. And maybe, just maybe, your next penny could be your key to living the wealthy, free lifestyle you've always dreamed of. So here's your challenge. Tonight, when you empty your pockets or count your change, take a closer look. That small copper coin you're about to dismiss could be worth more than gold. Because sometimes, the universe hides the biggest treasures in the smallest places. Your $1 million penny might already be waiting for you. Are you ready to find it? Most of us have loose change lying around, pennies in jars, under car seats, even at the bottom of drawers we never open. But what if I told you that inside that pile of forgotten coins could be a life-changing fortune? That's not just a fantasy. It's a reality that's happened to ordinary Americans who discovered one of these rare Lincoln cents. This penny, minted in 2006, looks deceptively normal. It carries the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the copper sheen, the words "In God We Trust." But what sets it apart? What turns it into a potential goldmine is what's missing: the mint mark. Normally, coins minted in Denver carry a small D. Those from Philadelphia often carry no mark, and those from San Francisco an S. So what's the big deal about a missing mark? The answer lies in an extraordinary minting one that made a handful of these 2006 no mint mark pennies, phenomenally rare. Before we dive into how this simple coin could be worth close to $1 million today, let's rewind. Because every great story begins long before the jackpot moment. In 2006, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. By all accounts, it was an unremarkable year for coin production. Nothing flashy, nothing particularly collectible, till reports began surfacing of a strange, missing mint mark penny found in regular circulation. People were confused. Was it fake? A factory error? Or perhaps something even rarer? Collectors began to whisper about it on online forums, and coin dealers started investigating. What they discovered sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. A small batch of pennies accidentally struck without a mint mark, but with distinctive metal composition and die characteristics. They had escaped into circulation. This wasn't a simple mistake, was a minting anomaly. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. A coin like this doesn't just appear, it survives. It circulates for years in pockets, registers, and piggy banks, losing its shine but gaining in legend. Each one becomes a potential lottery ticket disguised as pocket change. And that's exactly why collectors go wild for it. But how does a 1-cent coin jump to a valuation of $933,000? Let's break it down. Rarity is the heartbeat of coin value. The fewer examples known to exist, the more collectors will pay. Combine that with perfect condition, what experts call mint state, and the price skyrockets. One of these 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies, discovered in uncirculated condition, fetched an astonishing 6-figure sum at auction. Imagine that for a moment. You're holding a penny that could buy you a brand new luxury SUV, pay off your mortgage, or fund your dream vacation, and all it cost you was 1 cent. The fear here, and yes, it's realize that millions of Americans have already spent these rare coins without ever realizing what they were worth. The thought that a small, overlooked penny might have slipped through your fingers is enough to make you want to dump out every jar of change you've ever saved. Because once these coins are gone, they're gone for good. But don't panic yet. There's hope, and it could still be sitting right in your home. Here's what to look for. First, the date, 2006. Check the area under the year for a mint mark. If you don't see a small letter, no D, no S, nothing at all, pause. Take a closer look. Under strong light, the absence of that mint mark could mean you're holding a coin worth hundreds of thousands. Second, check the condition. Scratches, dullness, and wear will reduce the value, but even circulated examples can fetch thousands if authenticated. Finally, get it appraised. Don't clean it, don't polish it, just handle it gently and take it to a certified coin dealer or send it for professional grading. Here's where the story takes an emotional turn. One woman from Michigan reportedly found a 2006 no-mint mark, Lincoln penny, while sorting through her late father's coin jar. She almost tossed it back into a Coinstar machine, thinking it was nothing special. But something about the missing mark caught her eye. She had it evaluated, and the results left her speechless. It was authentic, and it sold for nearly $1 million. This isn't just about luck. It's about awareness. It's about opportunity hidden in plain sight. And it's a powerful reminder that wealth doesn't always come in big, flashy packages. It can come in the smallest, most ordinary objects. Now, let's pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? Not just glanced at it, but really looked. Most people don't. It's just a cent, right? But if this story teaches anything, it's that small things can hold enormous value if you know where to look. And that brings us to a bigger idea. What else in your life might be quietly holding value you've overlooked? Maybe it's an old collection, a forgotten box in the attic, or even a dream you set aside years ago. The rare 2006 penny isn't just a collector's treasure, it's a metaphor for hidden potential. Still, let's stay grounded in facts, because I know many of you watching want to understand the numbers. The current market value for verified specimens of the 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in pristine condition stands around $933,000, according to recent auction records. Lower-grade examples, those with minor wear or handling, can still sell for anywhere from $5,000 to $75,000, depending on the specifics. That's an incredible range for something that most people never think twice about spending. But the real urgency here comes from supply and demand. As collectors scoop up verified coins, the available pool of these rare pennies shrinks. That means the value could climb even higher. Think of it like real estate in a limited market. The rarer the asset, the faster it appreciates. So, if you've ever thought about selling old coins or turning your collection into cash, this might be your window of opportunity. The coin market is hotter than ever, fueled by online auctions and global collectors willing to pay top dollar for minting anomalies like the 2006 no mint mark penny. Now, let me ask you a quick question. If you found one of these rare pennies tomorrow, what would you do? Would you sell it immediately or hold it, knowing its value could rise even more? It's a good problem to have, isn't it? The truth is, stories like these remind us that wealth isn't always about having more, it's about seeing more, seeing what others overlook, paying attention when everyone else is rushing by. That's the mindset that turns small discoveries into fortunes. Of course, there's also a humorous side to this. Picture someone at the grocery store accidentally using a $900,000 penny to buy gum. It sounds ridiculous, but it happens. History is full of people who unknowingly spent rare coins worth small fortunes. And once that coin is gone, it's like losing a lottery ticket after the winning numbers are drawn. Don't let that happen to you. Start looking. Start checking. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story can change your life. Let's tie this together with one final thought. The 2006 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just a collector's curiosity, it's a wake-up call. It's proof that even in an age of digital transactions and virtual currencies, there's still tangible treasure hiding in the real world. It challenges us to stay curious, to look deeper, and to never assume that something small can't have big value. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or sort through that jar of change, take a moment to really look. You might just be holding a piece of history worth nearly $1 million. And if you are, remember this: it's not just about selling a coin, it's about unlocking potential, recognizing value, and rewriting your story. Because sometimes, wealth doesn't come from chasing something new. Sometimes, it's been sitting right there in your hand all along. So go check those pennies. Your future might just be hiding in copper and waiting for you to notice.